Welcome back to another edition of Rump and Robby's weekly IU basketball podcast. Of course, I'm Robby Howard.
And I'm Sam Rumpza.
It's been a while since we've done one of these with the
time.
Christmas break, so it's good to be back. Good to be talking some IU basketball here.
Not only IU basketball, but outside IU basketball. It feels like March, and we've got a March-style matchup tomorrow with Minnesota and Indiana.
Yeah, we're coming to you from the nice little deck outside my house. If you want to come find me and shoot me down because of my opinions on IU basketball, feel free to. Good luck finding the back of my house in Bloomington.
A lot of houses that look like
A lot of houses that look like this, but as Rump said, it's a nice, I think it's like 55 degrees right now.
High at 59 today,
So,
and 63 tomorrow, and then it gets cold again. But
we don't get days like this in January, so Rump and I decided we'd go on out back and enjoy the nice spring-like weather here in January.
It's awesome.
But as Rump started off the podcast by saying, big matchup tomorrow. IU welcomes the Minnesota Golden Gophers, the number 5 Indiana Hoosiers, and the number 8 Golden Gophers. First top 10 matchup.
I was just thinking
since 2000, I believe.
Since the Bobby Knight era,
yeah.
Ohio State and Indiana, and it's just incredible. The excitement, it isn't as high for say the Michigan game because people still see Minnesota's under the radar. But they are very legit. They've got a lot of weapons, and we'll definitely talk about those guys.
Yeah, I've talked about this a lot before. I've just been really sleeping on this game because I still can't really take Minnesota seriously. Now, something to remember, Minnesota is the one team...
I was thinking that too. Great minds think alike.
It's the one team that beat IU at Assembly Hall last season. So, they're definitely experienced at Assembly Hall. They're ready to be in big game situations. And they've already knocked off a couple of top opponents this season.
And that team didn't have Trevor Mbakwe, and Trevor Mbakwe has torn his ACL twice, but when he was healthy, he was for sure the best rebounder in the Big Ten Conference and one of the best scorers, just one of the best forwards. He's just 6'8", but plays a lot above his height, and that's something else we'll talk about. He tore his ACL, and Minnesota was very, very smart with how they played him. They brought him off the bench the first few games of the season, but he has worked his way back into the starting lineup, still averaging 9.3 points a game and 7.9 rebounds a game, and that's only playing 20 minutes a game, but he is back, I wouldn't say at 100% yet, but nearly at 100%, and that's scary for IU.
Yeah, and he's really a force to be reckoned with. I remember him before his injury, and he's a scary post player. He's one of the few, I think, true post players in the Big Ten. You look at him along with, obviously, Cody Zeller, a true post, and then maybe an Adrian Payne at Michigan State, but he's definitely one of the elite post players in the Big Ten, I think.
For sure, and I wrote in my preseason Big Ten blog that him and Rodney Williams, if Mbakwe is healthy, which he looks healthy, are the best forward duo in the conference, and I believe that's been true so far this season. Rodney Williams, their second leading scorer, 12.6 points, 5.9 rebounds a game, and both are just so athletic. We talked about before how you thought that Minnesota was pretty small. 6'7" and 6'8" are their two tallest starters, and then they've got 6'4", 6'4", and 6'1". But Williams and Mbakwe are so athletic that it doesn't matter how tall they are. They're going to be able to compete with the likes of Christian Wofford and Cody Zeller in the post.
I still think it's a little different. Cody Zeller is a legit 7-footer. I mean,
that's true.
A 6'8" guy against a 7-footer. I'm not taking anything away from Trevor Mbakwe. He's proven himself throughout the course of his career that he's a very good post player. But Cody Zeller is Cody Zeller. I mean, he's 7 foot. Sure, he's sort of had an up-and-down season. Not exactly, I think, what anyone really expected from him coming into the year. But he's still a great post player, and I think that's a mismatch, honestly.
I don't think it's a mismatch. I think Mbakwe even said it today that he thinks that they're going to cancel out each other, and I think that is the case. I think they're going to cancel out each other because of how good both of them are, and I think it'll come down to the other guys like Victor Oladipo, Austin and Andre Hollins for Minnesota. And I wrote in a blog for my website, Rumblings of Rural Sports Fans, check it out. But I wrote that Remy Abel and Will Sheehy, I had to get a shout out on that. I said that Remy Abel and Will Sheehy coming off the bench are going to be two of the biggest players for IU in this game. And yesterday, actually, Tom Crean, before the women's basketball game, about 90 minutes before I got there very early, the women's team was shooting around. Tom Crean was still out there talking to, it was a core group of guys. It was Cody Zeller, Christian Wofford, Victor Oladipo, Remy Abel, Jeremy Hall, Hunter Perea, and Yogi Ferrell. I don't really know what that meeting was about, but I thought it was kind of interesting. No Jordan Halls, no Will Sheehy, but I do really think that Remy Abel and Will Sheehy will be keys for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd say Remy Abel's got to be one of the most underrated guys on this team.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, Remy comes in off the bench and he's playing behind both Jordy and Yogi, obviously. And so he's playing behind two very, very good point guards, or if you want to classify Jordy as a shooting guard. Two great guards, bottom line. But Remy himself's excellent. I think out of both of those guys, out of all three of those guys, I think Remy's the best defender. I think he's proven himself to be a solid perimeter shooter. Obviously, not better than Jordy, and maybe not as good as Yogi even, but Remy's a very solid scoring option, and he's great dribbling the basketball too. So I like Indiana's bench matching up against Minnesota.
Yeah, but Minnesota's still a very, very good team, and you look at they're 15-1, and their only losses to Duke early in a preseason tournament. And not only are they beating teams that they should, but they're going on the road and beating teams. Just on the 9th, you think just this week they went to Illinois at the other assembly hall and won by 17 points. And you think maybe they were looking ahead to IU. They definitely weren't, because they went on the road, won by 17, held Illinois to 3 of 24 shooting from beyond the arc. And Joe Coleman, their fourth leading scorer at just over 10 a game, had 29 points. So that shows their versatility too, and it shows that they can go on the road and win, and they can shut down a team from beyond the arc. Obviously, that something has to do with bad shooting for Illinois, and also jacking up a lot of threes late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But still, to that point, they did defend very well from beyond the arc.
Something I definitely think is key to winning the Big Ten this year, looking at it from IU's perspective, the Big Ten is, I think, easily the most dominant conference in the country in terms of college basketball. I think the way to win the conference this year is you just need to win all of your home games. And anything on the road is a bonus. And we sort of saw that when IU beat Iowa. A lot of people tried to knock IU and say, oh, you barely beat Iowa. They won a Big Ten road game.
And it was a sold-out environment. It was the first time IU went on the road this season. We haven't really talked about the Christmas break games at all, but that was a very tough win that IU had to get out of Carver Hawkeye Arena alive, and that's what they did in a sold-out crowd. And hopefully you see a little bit better, a less sloppy performance in future road games, like looking ahead at Wisconsin, at Northwestern. I'm sorry, I'm looking at Minnesota's schedule. We don't play at Wisconsin. We do play at Northwestern.
Do play at Northwestern.
And just the future road games that IU has. Hopefully a little less sloppy, but still to be able to get that win over Christmas break, and then to go in on the 7th and dominate Penn State was good to see because of how poor Penn State is.
Mm-hmm. But looking at this IU Minnesota matchup, I think my point really is I'm not trying to say this is a must-win game for the Hoosiers, especially this early on in the season. But I think it is a big game because
it's a huge game.
You need to win. Like I said, you need to win your home court games, because if you start to lose games at home, I just don't think you're going to have a shot at winning the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it's tough to go in and it's tough to beat Iowa, that's saying something. So you just really have to take care of business at home. And, I think this is a pretty big game for the Hoosiers.
And it's a huge game for Minnesota, too. I do agree with that. If IU is going to win the Big Ten, basically they're going to have to go 9-0 at home. But if Minnesota could pull out this game, which is not outside of the realm of the possibility because of how, if they come in shooting well with Austin and Andre Hollins, and they're able to get maybe Cody Zeller in foul trouble or something like that, if they're able to get some breaks go their way early and maybe neutralize the crowd a little bit, then if they can get the victory, then I think they're set for the Big Ten. I think they can definitely
that would be
win
a monumental win.
They don't play at Michigan. They do play Michigan on the 17th. And if they could just go 2-1, get a win either at Assembly Hall tomorrow or at the barn against Michigan, they would be in very, very good position still to win the Big Ten. But I do like IU tomorrow at Assembly Hall.
Last point I want to bring up with you, Rump. Big Ten Network's been doing this thing on the best dunker in the Big Ten Conference, and they put Rodney Williams of Minnesota. They put him at number 1. Put Victor Oladipo at number 3. What do you think? If you're comparing dunkers, who's the better dunker between Rodney Williams and Victor Oladipo? Of course, we'll see both tomorrow.
Well, who was number 2? I'm curious.
Number 2 was I can't remember who number 2 was.
We'll try to find that out. But I hate to say it, I think overall, Victor Oladipo is a better overall player, makes a bigger impact for his team, but I think Rodney Williams is a better dunker.
Oh, it was Sam Thompson from Ohio
Oh,
State. was
okay,
coming too,
yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
honestly, I think Sam Thompson's probably the best dunker.
I
in the
I
Big
think
Ten.
those are pretty fair rankings, but Rodney Williams still a very athletic player, and Christian Watford. This makes another point. Christian Watford that I wanted to bring up. He's gonna have to bring his A game tomorrow. He played very well against Penn State, had 16 points, including 12, I think, really early on. But he's gonna have to be on his defensive game tomorrow. In order for the Hoosiers to win, they're gonna have to contain Rodney Williams.
Yeah, of course. I say it all the time. I feel like one of the keys for IU playing well is whether Christian Watford comes out and decides if he wants to play or not.
Mhm.
So that'll be a big key tomorrow, among several other keys. But that about wraps up this podcast.
Prediction though?
I'll take IU. I think fairly high scoring. I'll take IU 75, Minnesota 68.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. I was just thinking about it. I was gonna say 75-67.
Wow.
Honestly.
Look at that.
I really.
That's straight off the top of my head. I have
Yeah,
not
me-
said
me
that
too.
to anyone. That's
Me
my
too.
first prediction.
Me too, exactly. That's pretty crazy. So
There you go, 75-68, 75-67. So close game, fairly high scoring.
and
We'll see.
I think it'll be closer than that. I think free throws will decide it. But,
Yeah. Oh yeah, free throws deciding it down the stretch.
free
for
free
sure.
throws will make it a little bit bigger of
Yeah.
a margin.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week on Rump and Robby's weekly IU basketball talk.
And don't forget to tune into our show on Mondays as we will recap this game as well as other Big Ten action from this week.
6 to 7 on WIUX 99.1 FM and WIUX.org.